Shalom. First, I start off by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to teachers, elders, and the boss of great millstone, likewise, brothers, put on the truth. Faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep and you brothers and sisters. Tuning in, Shalom. Today's lesson's titled, Out of the Ashes, Gods and Slaves Emerge. And those of you who are in the truth, you should know who the gods are going to be and who the slaves are going to be. Let's go into the first scripture. This is the book of 2nd Esdras 9. And so verse 1, it reads, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Let's take a look at that word, diligently, okay? And this is the online etymology dictionary. It means constant effort to accomplish what is undertaken. When we look at it from the ordinary dictionary, it means in a way that shows care and conscientiousness in one's work or duties. And they have an example here. He spends his night diligently working on his dissertation. This is what you see the prophets are doing. We are diligent in our work, okay? There isn't a day that goes by that you don't see videos uploaded from the elders teaching Apostle of Great Millstone and likewise brothers, edifying the hopefully elect of Yasharallah, the 1/3, okay, and also wanting the 2/3 to return to the Lord Yahweh Shemashah and repent, and also letting our enemies, in particular Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man, knows that the Lord Yahweh Shemashah is going to deal with him on a very personal level. Continuing, it says, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which we've seen a lot of that going on, earthquakes just last weekend, okay, that killed, 20,000, 30,000, people are in uproar in the Middle East, here in Great Babylon, America, just all across this earth in general. Why? Because the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. People are very unhappy, okay? The devil is ruling the earth. It says, Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So it's already been written, and now we are seeing it manifest. It says, For like us, all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So here we are right now in a time where the Lord Yahweh Shemashah is visiting this earth. Let's go into 2nd Esdras 6 and stand verse 7 reads, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that follows? So here's a question being asked, okay, what time are we in right now? Are we in the end or in the beginning? Okay, here's the answer. And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob, which is the 12th tribe of Israel, and Esau, which is the so-called white race, were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. So no, never mind all those disaster movies that you see Esau show where, if he's not in rulership, it's the end of the world. No, it is the end of this current world, which is, take a look at it. You really want this to continue to go on? You really want to continue to exist under the rulership of the so-called white man? Look at this man. Look at the state that we're in. Look at the state of the whole earth. Okay, so there is going to be an end. That's the mercy of the Lord Yahweh Shemashah. Okay, so every tribe on this earth needs to get on their knees and bow down and serve Yahweh Shemashah, which they will do in the kingdom. Okay, but they're going to be so grateful when the Lord Yahweh Shemashah and the wicked rulership of the so-called white man, which is the Edomites. Okay, Esau. Okay, let's go into the book of 2nd Esdras 6 and start verse 22, because you can look in the headlines and you can see what's going on. You might even see certain things going on in your own neck of the woods, your own town. You see, all these tribes, okay, are starting to get, riled up and worked up right now. But let's take a look at how this is going to be playing out. Okay, it says, And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Okay, and it's talking about the food and the resources, but particularly food, okay? Because people can do without, new clothes and all the other things like that. But boy, when it comes to food, okay, show me somebody in Great Babylon, America that doesn't constantly have a spoon, okay, or fork, eating something or chewing on something. Okay, I know it goes on in my house sometimes. And it says, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man hear it, they shall suddenly be afraid. Oh boy, oh boy. These trumpets are sounds of dire warnings. Okay, food prices up. Okay, we're going to be shortage of here. We're going to be shortage of there. Okay, we need to restrict water drinking. Poultry farm or meat farms, they're burning down. All these things. The talk of war. All these things is going on. People are like kind of worried because there is an impact. Okay. It says, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Now, everybody, lottie dottie, everybody from every tribe is going to be going at each other's throat. I don't care how, mild-mannered people might seem, as those hunger pangs start to take a hold of them. People are going to be looking at each other as a target, okay, and they're not going to be in the sharing spirit, okay. Let's go into the book of Isaiah 65 and starting with verse 12, and it reads, therefore will I number you to the sword. So here we are, we're giving a warning to our people. Hey, the Lord Yahweh Shemashah is going to start his judgment, with the children of Israel, okay, because we were the ones that was given the laws. And here you have people constantly involved in, all of the abominable act, in Great Babylon, America, sodomy, idol worship, adultery, all those things, they can't get away from it. They think they're missing out, and, and we're letting them know, okay, there is another way, okay, but we already know that 2/3 is going to be number 2, as I'm reading it right here. It says, therefore will I number you to the sword, and you shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, the prophets out there on the highway in the Bible, putting up these videos, we don't make these to entertain ourselves, okay? Ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. You have these women coming up against the prophets, and boy, we can't warn you women enough how Jacob's trouble is really, really going to humble you all down, okay? And that's that. And the ones that's going to be humbled down that are not humble right now, okay, that's going to be through the things that you're going to experience, and you're going to be the ones that are actually going to live. The rest of them are not going to even survive, okay. A lot of you women are going to die some really gruesome way here in Great Babylon, America, very soon. It says, therefore thus said the Lord power, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye should be hungry, okay. So the servant's going to eat. So those who listen to the servants who work for the Mashiach, okay, bringing the gospel and truth, guess what? They're going to eat too, okay. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joyified, but ye shall cry of sorrowfied, and shall howl for vexation of spirits. Y'all trusting into Egypt, the so-called white man who's our enemy, and y'all think that he actually is looking out for you. He's not even looking out for his own people. What the hell do you think is going on? So as I brought out in 2nd Ezra 6 and verse 22, it talks about what the friends fighting against each other. So if Esau hates your ass and you're his enemy, and we naturally are all enemies, with these other tribes, well, how do you think that's really going to play out? Okay, how do you think that's really going to play out? You can see right now they're trying to bring back some of that Jim Crow era, back in Great Babylon, America. Okay, but this time it's not going to work the way it worked before. Everybody's going to be clashing. Okay, but the Lord is going to preserve his people from not being involved in all of that melee that's going to be taking place here in Great Babylon, America. Okay, let's go into the book of Ezekiel 35 and start verse 1, because he has a job. We don't do this because we just like to just talk, okay? We've been told to tell Esau, the Edomite, the so-called white man, this, and those that trust into Great Babylon, America. It reads, moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh Shemashah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus said the Lord power, behold, on Mount Seir I am against thee, and I will stretch my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Now you see a lot of things occurring across the earth, in other countries. You had that earthquake that killed, wiped out, 20, 30,000 people. You don't see that kind of disaster here for Great Babylon, America, because the Lord is saving the best for last. See, when America falls, the whole world is going to witness it, and it's going to be an awesome destruction, okay? They're going to see this place go from number 1 to -0, okay? Of the horror show that's about to be taking place here. So he's fattening up people, people still on their leisure. They still get all those doggone TV shows with all the faggots and the virtual or the reality TV shows where they pretend like they're naked or hungry and all that stuff, making mockery of all these other tribes that are truly starving, are in dire need because Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man, has placed embargo on their nations and surrounded them with his warships and basically starved the people, especially the dark-skinned nations. Okay, it says, "I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord." Yahweh Shemeshai. How is that going to be taking place again? A civil war that's going to be taking place. So you're going to have people going up against the military, people going against each other, so-called blacks against whites, whites against blacks, and Asians against the whites and the blacks, and you get it on and on. You get the two-thirds, they're going to be fighting against each other because there's no love, okay? There's no love, okay? So this is how these cities are going to be desolated. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, never ceasing hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So we will give them to Esau to punish, pursuant to Deuteronomy 28, where we got put into slavery, got our ass whipped, and forgot who we really are, and Esau didn't start from there. In fact, right now, all of these firings and all these things going on right now, this is the way Esau is looking to get through to us. And we know that they eventually are going to make it out there across the earth that really so-called blacks people and so-called Latinos, but especially so-called black people, the dark-skinned, so-called African Americans here in Great Babylon, America, are nothing more than doggone apes, primates. We're not intelligent. That's why you see they have that DEI thing, and they kind of pushing that through. And that's okay. So do what you got to do, dog. You got to do what you got to do, okay? In fact, we encourage you because, see, if you don't do what you have to do, then we're not going to be able to do what we have to do, which I'm going to bring those out real soon. This is the book of Isaiah 66 and starting with verse 15 reads, "For behold, the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire." So not only do you have civil war going on, shortage of food, people starving, man, people just swinging sword and pow, 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 all over the place like that. And this is gonna be a global thing. There ain't no earth, there ain't no place on this earth where people are so peaceful that they're not gonna be swinging sword. This is gonna happen all over the place. So of course, Great Babylon, America is ground zero, so we always like to talk about this place. But on top of that, you got Yahweh Shai turning back to just jack this place up, man. Okay, and that's why the title of this lesson is appropriate. Out of the ashes, okay, God's enslaved emerges, okay? Continue, says, "For by fire and the sword will the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai should be many," okay? There's a lot of people on this earth, so Yahweh Shemeshai, you can, I put out a video about 2 years ago where 165 scriptures demonstrated that the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai, the Almighty, likes to kill. He likes to kill. He's a man of, he loves to kill. He loves to kill. Okay, you best believe that. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 16 down verse 22, because it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be overwhelming. As I speak right now, making this video, right now you have a sandstorm going on out here in El Paso, and this is a constant thing out here. You can clean, and it's all back there. You can clean, it's all back there. It's just never ending. Yeah, now imagine every day you have this taking place. This is 2nd Ezra 16, verse 22 says, "For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy." So, okay, you might have food. You might be able to get some eat. You may even have the ability to catch fish or hunt animals, whatever the case like that. But you might not know how to fight worth shit, or even be really smart at escaping the sword. So the sword can get your ass, okay? And this isn't going to be like a literal sword. It's going to be guns and knives and drones and tanks and all the other stuff. It says, "And the dead should be cast out like dung, and there should be no man to comfort them, for the earth should be wasted and the city should be cast down." Now first, you'll have some funerals and all that stuff, and then it's just going to get to the point to where then the funeral director might be get put to death. You're just going to see dead bodies, and this is often something that's discussed because it's going to be a heinous sight, and as you can see in the background playing right now, I have the depiction of these things, where imagine just stepping outside and just seeing just bodies all over the place and rotten carcasses, that stench and the smell, and there's no, great goodness, man, this is going to be horrible, and, horrible. It says, for the earth should be wasted. The earth should be wasted. Why? World War III, man. I mean, people fighting all over the place. When we say that there's going to be, civil war, it's not only going to be only in America. There's going to be all over the places food shortages go. These nations are not working together to supply, food and resources to each other. They keeping it for themselves, and then they can be trying to, overthrow each other to get the resources. Okay, and that's going to be on a global scale. Then when you talk about a macro scale or micro scale in the cities, great goodness, it said, and the cities should be cast down. There should be no man to till the earth. So overgrown grass, especially in these places where it rains a lot, shit. Okay, there ain't gonna be no road to drive on. You can need Humvees and military grade vehicles to be able to drive. And to sow it, the trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? Certainly not the doggone Mexicans. The grapes shall ripen, who shall tread them? Nope. For all places should be desolate of man. Well, the Lord is going to wipe out a lot of men, because definitely He's not going to allow these unworthy men to continue on. So, Pookie and Ray and all them, sagging pants niggas, they can die. They can die. Okay, let's go into the book of Jeremiah 16 and 16, verse 16. Because, as again, this is where you see the gods are going to come. It says, behold, I will send for many fishes, said the Lord Yahweh Shemashai, which is fisher of men, and they shall fish them, and after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill, out of the holes of the rock. So it doesn't matter if Elon Musk and Trump and all the rest of them go down on the ground. Guess what? They're going to get taken out of those grounds by who? Gods. That's the name of the lesson. Gods and slaves. To do what? It says, for my eye upon their ways, and they are not hid from my face. Neither is their iniquity hid from my eyes. Okay, wicked. And first I will recompense the iniquity, which their wickedness and their sin double, because they have defiled my land. They have filled my inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. Did you know that the state of Israel is the epicenter of the greatest sodomite parade? What they call gay parade or whatever, pride parade? It is the epicenter. It's like what Vegas is for gambling. Okay, but that's supposed to be the Holy Land. Okay. Oh Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, my strength, my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. This is why you see right now you have certain Edomites are right now making videos hoping that they will get it easy in the kingdom, because they are coming to the belief, okay, that we are the true biblical Hebrew Israelite, and that basically they will repay. Okay, they will pay for all of their wickedness and the things that they've done to us, and that they've been told lies. There ain't no such thing as no damn white Jesus, and they're not the chosen people of the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai. Okay, and now they're rebelling. This is the reason why you have the alphabet agencies are now watching us, because not only is this gospel getting out to our people who are now repenting, who some may repent, but it's also getting out to these other nations who will start to, do a double take or look at the so-called white man and go, yeah, that makes sense. Let's take a look at the handiwork of these doggone crackers. Okay. So at the end of the day, okay, since it's going to be gods and we're coming down from those chariots, okay, in a new body, which is going to be both terrestrial and extraterrestrial, well, there has to be slaves, okay, and this is where Esau, this is where you come in, because you're going to really bear the bunch, okay, of that torment that we're going to give you for 1,000 years in the heavenly kingdom. Revelation 18:6, it reads, reward her, even as she rewarded you, which is slavery, beating, whippings, all those things. And double unto her, double according to her works, which everything that you did to us, we're going to give you double. So imagine that. In the cup which she had filled to her double. It will be our pleasure to do that, and that's why you will have gods and slaves. We're going to be the gods, and you Edomites, you so-called white people, are going to be the slaves. So Lord willing, you let us at the Father to close by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Shalom.